one of my big solutions to get at that problem to how do I allow all the students in my classroom to contribute has been Pear Deck. So again, I said at the beginning, Pear Deck is for Google Slides is what I use. We're a Google school. It is an add-on, so it's right in the add-on menu. You can see it just pops open this little sidebar here, and I can add interactivity to any Google Slides presentation that I've already created. So this isn't starting from scratch. If you already have Google Slides, you just take them, you import them in, and you add different question types. You can add text type questions, you can add number type questions, you can add drawing type questions. And that's what I'm going to focus on today, the drawing, because that's where the Wacom comes in. And then students have the opportunity to draw the answer to the question you've asked. So for example, draw the planet that comes after Jupiter. They can draw using the different pen options that are available right within Pear Deck. And then as a teacher, this is my view right here. I can see all the student answers coming in this dashboard view in real time. And so that's the power. There's no submit button. There's no waiting for students to turn in their work in real time as they're drawing. I can see that happen. So there's a student view. If they're in like a webinar, if they're in a Zoom, or if they are in Google Meet, then I always recommend that they have two things open. So they kind of have whatever my screen share is. So you can see that I'm sharing maybe this dashboard view. So my students are able to see that dashboard, but they have another window open where they have their own Pear Deck. So they're writing on their own Pear Deck. But when I show the responses of the class, I can now turn the attention of my screen share over to student responses. And that's the power here. I'm taking the focus away from my screen, even though it's my screen share, and I'm putting it back on student work. So this is an example from my actual AP Calculus class. So as I said, all of my students actually have a Wacom Intuos tablet. I have a class set of these. Let me just tell you, these things are an investment, one-time investment that lasts a long time. This is my personal experience. I got a class set back in 2013. We're now in 2020. I'm using the same exact class set of Wacom Intuos tablets. Those things have hung on. They've worked. We pass them back and forth on a daily basis. I mean, what type of technology lasts that many years? You know, there's few things. But because we just plug these into the laptops, there isn't any updating the software or anything like that. So I don't have to worry about anything. Plus, any student, you know, I have some students that are bringing in Macs. I have some students who are bringing in PCs. Every student can use this, and it's just, they plug it in. The ones that I have in the classroom, they plug in with USB, and that's it. So it works with any student's device. And they just plug and play, and it works with whatever applications you are already using on your computer. So it's not like, you know, I'm using an iPad, for instance, and I can only use the iPad apps. This just works with anything you're using on your computer. Again, I like to just explain it as if you could use your mouse to do something, now you can use pen precision to do it. So my students all have that, so they're able to do their math AP Calculus answers here. But what I'm able to see in this dashboard in real time is the students who are solving almost the whole problem versus the students who are stuck. Like they could just get to drawing the picture and that's it. They really need my help. And there's two views in Pear Deck. There's one with names attached, and you can see that I've blurred out the names here for my student privacy, but these names are attached in this view, so I can get that information. But when I'm projecting in the classroom, it's actually always anonymous. And that's another really nice thing about using Pear Deck, is that I don't have to worry about calling out a student for an incorrect response. And I'm about to show you that in a moment, that I just project the answers of the full class, and we can see what everybody's thinking without having to call a specific student out, because it will show up on the classroom screen anonymously. And then this dashboard view, I can get afterwards, or I can do it on another screen that I'm not projecting for the whole class, so that I can get more individualized data about which students need my help, so that when we break out into groups, I know who to get to first before anything else. So in this one, this is a drawing type question. So this is where I'm going to actually use my tablet and I'm going to write with the pen tools. So I'm going to show the responses right now so you can see what's going on in my classroom. I'm going to show the grid layout for this one because a lot of times I like to see a lot of things that are going on. And I want to show you how real time this interaction is, okay? So I'm writing right now. It's hard for me to show it right now, but what I can do is I can change the pen size. So I'm going to make my pen smaller. You can make it bigger and smaller just like that. And I'm going to choose red right now. And so I have the point -1, and then I'm going to put in the point -2. So you could see both things, me writing on this side and me writing over here, how real time that happens. Let me show it to you. I'm going to just put the focus on my one answer so you can see just how real time this is. So I'm writing right now. And you can see it is instantaneous. So as a teacher, sometimes I make these a little bit instructional, and this is a way of me to be able to write on my slides. I'm going to show you more of that later, but also I can have everybody from class responding. Everybody's responded. You can see I can scroll through them one at a time like this. This student has chosen to use the text reply. So there is also text. If a student maybe didn't have the Wacom device, but you as a teacher do, so you can draw, but your students can't, they could draw some stuff with their mouse, or they can type with the text tool. And then again, we can have a powerful conversation about this on the board. Again, I have the different layouts, and this one overlaid is going to be a bit of a mess because I'm not going to be able to see what's going on, but you always have that view. The grid layout is really great to see what's going on for everybody. And then the list layout when I want to bring attention to one answer here. So we could talk about, do you think this is correct? Yes, it is. No, it isn't. And we can talk about it. Again, at this moment in time, I'm putting the focus on a student response instead of just my response. And I think that is so important, especially if you're teaching in a remote learning setting right now. How do you take the screen share, that focus on your screen, away from just your work and put it back on student work? And so this is a way to do that. Finally, we've got to do a little bit of graphing. So let's go ahead and try and graph y equals 2 here. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and give everybody a full minute to solve this problem. So I can set a little timer. And while I hate timing things in math, I think that math should not be a speed race by any means. And that's why I like using Pear Deck a lot, because it gives students that opportunity to have that sit and think time. Sometimes I actually, I'm prone to like moving on too quickly because there's silence, and nobody likes silence. And so this reminds me to give enough wait time. And sometimes I'm just giving some warm-up problems at the beginning of class, and I just want to move through that at the right pace so that we have enough time for whatever other activity we want to do. So the timer can be great for that. So I can keep it on, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a couple points here like this. And go over 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I can even pull out a line tool over here. I'll change the color of that line tool, make it a little bit thinner, and then draw my line just like that. And look, timing is great. So at that point, because the timer's up, it locked the screens. So my students can't answer anymore. If I saw that somebody needed, a couple more seconds, again, I can always unlock the screen. Like, that is fluid. I can lock, I can unlock. Now let's show the responses and see what everybody was thinking. So let's go back into grid view, and I can see all the responses. In this one, the layout view is super helpful. The overlaid view is super helpful because I like to stack grids on top of one another so that I can see, do we have consensus? We mainly do, but this person's line was less steep. So that would be a great one for me to know that I want to discuss as a math teacher. I want to talk about the steepness of the curve for this y equals 2x. So at this point, I got that idea that, okay, let's talk about that answer first. So let's go over to list. Let's find that answer and let's discuss it. So at this moment, we could talk about that. I'm teaching my students about this certain, we're doing some revolutions, and I need to explain it. I need to be able to ink up my Google Slides. In Google Slides, there's no way to ink on your Google Slides. If you're a math teacher, I know you feel my pain here. So instead, I can just launch it as a Pear Deck, and I could even make this a little bit bigger. Let me make it a little bit bigger right now so that I'm focusing on just this. And on this screen, I might tell my students, just turn your attention to my screen. You don't need to worry about answering this question. This is going to be an instructional slide. And so I can go ahead and take out my Pear Deck pen tool. So again, I'm writing on my tablet right here. So I'm saying, all right, let's pick a color. So I'm going to pick blue right here. And then I can say, identify the bounds of integration. So I can use this to highlight, to mark up. So let's go ahead. And the bounds of integration are going to be here and here. So I can draw just like that. I can draw the radius outer. Again, I can just be inking up my slides just as I'm talking. You know what? I wasn't even reading the problem because on this one, I'm revolving around y equals 1. So in case anybody's a math teacher on here, I better do this right. So we're revolving around here. So you can see how easily I can draw right on this screen. And in real time, it's showing up for all my students to be able to view. So simple, so easy. I can mark it up. And I can teach. So I can make this an instructional slide. And then maybe the next slide that I have would be an interactive question where I would ask students to respond with me. So I can do both within the presentation. My students don't need to be answering every single slide. In fact, I think if I'm having them answer on every single slide, it's a little bit wearing to them. It's too much. We don't ask students to answer every single question in the classroom. So that's a little bit overboard. I have a lot of my slides that are instructional. I'm talking about them. And then I follow up with a question for the class.